Yeah, I'd say these raised beds that I made today are about a foot tall. So the equivalent would be like say two by sixes, and those are about 15 bucks a piece. That'd give you 11 inches, which is plenty. And that would be you'd have two on right, two on left, and then you'd need two more to cut in half. So you're looking at what is that? Two, four, six. So what are you looking at right there? So 30 bucks a side, so 60. I mean, you're talking you're talking about $90 in lumber right there for one raised bed, an 8 foot raised bed. So anything that you can do right now to save money on lumber, I think that'd be the way to go. The reason I'm doing the video on the raised beds is because that's one of the things you can do. Because if input prices keep going up, and it looks like they're going to, and like I said, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. Think about it, fertilizer goes through the roof, which they're saying most of the fertilizer comes from Russia, then you're not going to take their fertilizer or their oil, and I, I don't think they care. Because there's always a market for commodities. I don't care what it is. You know, somebody wants those natural resources. Trust me. There's going to be somebody out there who's going to be interested in buying it, and so he'll sell that. He'll sell those products if Europe doesn't buy them. He'll sell them to the East, and they'll buy them. So it's not going to make a dent. But it is gonna make a dent for Europe and especially Germany. I don't know what they're thinking. How could Germany ever do without Russia's fuel? I don't. I think they'll come back. I think they'll come back and go, hey, by the way, we uh, we actually do need that LP or whatever it is they use that they get from Russia. But anyway, I digress. Um, but what it means for us though is you see how high things already are, and they're just going to keep going up. And you can already tell that what they say the prices are, those are lies. They're higher than that in reality, and everybody knows it. So outside of fuel, which there's no whole lot you can do about, one of the other things is grow your own food, and that's why I'm going to put in new. That's why I'm putting in additional raised beds because we don't really buy a whole lot from the grocery store in the first place, and we only do in this time of year when we've kind of run through our stores, the stuff we put up through the summer. So I want to make sure this year we have enough growing area to get us all the way through the winter, because right now is the time when she's starting to go to the grocery store some, and I don't even like those products, to tell you the truth. If you got carrots or whatever it is, celery right now, and we're just now putting in seeds for carrots and seeds for this, that, and the other, well, that just tells you that stuff's out of season. So you can't rely on that stuff coming in from somewhere else. And I don't know where it comes in from, whether it's South Florida or Mexico or South America, who knows. But there will be probably a time when that stuff won't even be available. So it's time right now to start preparing. So the things that you need to look at are food, fuel, so food, energy, money, which is these things are all really energy, really. But you can grow your own food because the sun is free, and you can put seeds in the ground relatively cheap, and you can make a garden, and garden gives you a robustness that it's hard for anybody to do anything about. And most people just think that food comes from the grocery store anyway, so they're going to be quite shocked when there's nothing there, which we've seen happen recently and during different catastrophes. So it can happen, and relying on things. I mean, think about it. If diesel's $5 a gallon, and that's Missouri, I don't know what it would be in these other places where people are even crazier. So you're looking at the cost of fuel. You're looking at the cost of diesel going through the roof, and everything that you get trucked in terms of groceries comes on a truck, and that has to be hauled from diesel. I heard one person say the type of oil that we import from Russia is a heavy crude. Our crude that comes out of Texas is light sweet crude mostly, but the type of crude that is turned into diesel fuel is what we use that comes from Russia. It's a heavier crude. Some people are saying they're going to try to get it from Venezuela. I have no idea, but nonetheless, that constraint is going to put additional pressure on fuel costs. And when these fuel costs get to the point where you can't make any money to transport stuff, they won't do it. Sorry, but that's how it works. It's a for-profit economy, believe it or not, which I think a lot of people don't quite realize anymore. So if you can get off grid, I think it would behoove you to do so. That's one of the reasons why we did it. Um, it's a high upfront cost, but with everything going through the roof with all this inflation, I'd rather have things instead of cash. Um, just if you don't already have solar, I think now would be and you've been thinking about doing it, now would be a good time to pull the trigger. So one of the other things I'm going to try to do too is get an old truck. Um, I want to get a truck with a carburetor, because there's a way, if you fiddle around with a old truck or an old motor, you can really get a lot of gas mileage out of those um, engines. They're easy to. I haven't done it, but I've heard of a lot of people who tinker with stuff way back. They could get all kinds of mileage out of an old carburetor uh, type engine. Um, I'll figure out later on when I get whatever it is I'm going to get. And actually, I used to have straight six. I'd like to have straight six, because those are just all they want to do is crank up and run, and they get decent mileage. And I never even fooled with the one that I had to try to get, because it got okay mileage anyway. So anyway, I doubt I'll find one of those, but if I do, I'll probably pick it up. But I'm just going to get something old that doesn't have a computer, and I've been wanting to do that for a long time anyway. I've got a 2005. It has a computer in it, and I just, if that computer breaks, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just, you're kind of at the mercy of it. And that's one of the other things. Who even knows if there's going to be any chips here pretty soon? Because that's another area uh, that's being screwed up because of these stupid politicians. If you plan on stocking up on meat, if you get, always, what I try to do is always buy beef, either a whole or a half at the time. And you can do that with hogs, and you can do that with pretty much anything, but you got to call a local farmer and set it up, because if you go to the grocery store, number one, you're getting the lowest end product that came out of a feedlot. It's old, and you're paying, you're paying two or three middlemen. So once you get a set up with somebody local where you can just go direct and get your own cattle or get your own beef, you can. It's going to be a higher cost up front, which I think the last time it's about $2,000. So if you're sitting on cash and you need something to do with it, get a freezer. I heard freezers were hard to come by back a couple of years ago. I think that got sorted out, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're getting hard to come back. If they're getting hard to come by again. If you're gonna buy, if you want to stock up on meat, go ahead and just put your order in now for a half a cow or a whole cow, or some people sell quarters too. But anything you can buy in bulk. We got some very difficult economic times ahead of us, and there's no way out. They've the the uh, the foundations are cracking now. Well, they've been cracked, but now they're starting to come apart. We may be in for a paradigm shift. The dollar probably will be supplanted by another form of global currency. Doesn't mean the dollar won't exist, it will. Doesn't mean the United States won't exist, it will. But this paradigm shift is going to be horrifying to probably most of Americans, but we've got to understand that we've been living beyond our means for a very long time. Some people have been living beyond their means their whole lives because they were born in the 80s or the 90s. You know, I remember I was born in the 60s, so I remember when there wasn't such a disparity between the wealthy. It was just kind of a middle class, and it was large. So I hope you got something beneficial out of this video, and everybody go outside and plant something.